She stands there in all her splendor, like an ethereal vision. Her pure white robes tightly wrapped around her like a warm winter coat. She challenges, she threatens, she inspires. She beckons, "Come into my arms, O wanderer, and discover the mysteries of the unknown. Show me the limits of your endurance, and prove to me that you carry courage in your heart." She is the Nanda Devi, the second highest peak in India. She is no other than the goddess Parvati, the daughter of Himvan and consort of Lord Shiva. Closely guarded like a precious jewel, she is surrounded by an army of sentries who form a forbidding 70-mile barrier ring. On her left stands Nanda Kot, or Parvati's fortress. On the right is the Nanda Khat, or Parvati's bed. And in front of her is the Nanda Ghunti, or Parvati's veil. As the legend goes, these were created by Lord Shiva to protect Parvati from the evil demons who were threatening to kill her. For centuries, she remained inaccessible, warding off all those who dared to tread her virgin territories. But finally, it was loneliness which crept in. She longed for someone to touch her and caress her, and so she threw open her arms to her many admirers. In 1934, Eric Shipton and Bill Tillman penetrated the enclosing mountain range to discover the now Nanda Devi Sanctuary, and aptly named it the Valley of the Lost Horizon. It was only 2 years later, in 1936, that Tillman succeeded in reaching the summit, along with Noel Odell. A new chapter in history had been opened. Thereafter, Nanda Devi became a much sought-after mountain. Her magnetism reached far and wide. Numerous expeditions came and went, and slowly, this beautiful abode of the goddess developed irreparable scars. What nature and the gods had preserved for centuries took only 2 decades for man to despoil. In 1982, the government of India declared the sanctuary a national park. This prohibited all human interference or activity in the specified area. After an interval of 13 years, the sappers of the Indian Army got permission to enter the sanctuary as part of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of the College of Military Engineering, Pune. A scientific and ecological expedition was sent up to Nanda Devi under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel V.K. Bhatt. The aims and objectives of the expedition were to conduct benchmark studies on the ecological impact of the ban on human interference since 1981, to study the effect of garbage left behind by previous expeditions on environment, and organize cleaning of the mountain, to prepare a checklist of flora, fauna, and entomology, to scale the main Nanda Devi peak. With these aims, a team of scientists and mountaineers was selected, with Major Muhammad Amin Nayak as the deputy leader. Winner of Arjuna Award, Major Nayak scaled the peak along with G.K. Sharma, Captain Anand Swaroop, Nayak S.P. Bhatt, and Lance Havaldar Didar Singh. Major A. Maharana, Major R.K. Bhardwaj, Major B.V. Naresh, Captain Vinay Gupta, Captain S. Kambhoj, Captain J.S. Thind, Second Lieutenant Satish Bagotra, Nayak Kulbant Singh, Lance Nayak Jaswant Singh, Lance Nayak Bodh Singh, Thomas Joseph, Sapper Rajpal Singh, Sapper Sukhvinder Singh, Captain Ashwin Bendur, Dr. S.S. Samant, Dr. B. Balodi, Dr. Ravi Shankaran, Mr. Satyakumar, Mr. Ajay Rastogi, District Forest Officer V.K. Pangte, Kismi Lal Shah, Tirlok Singh Bisht, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, Mr. Sanjay Barnela, Mr. Rahul Kulshresht, Mr. Digpal Singh Bisht. The members of the expedition assembled at the Roorkee center of the sappers, where the army tradition of respect to all religions was shown while praying to the Almighty for the success of the mission. The team was given a warm send-off. This team carried on their shoulders the responsibility of doing proud the Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers ki! Corps of Engineers ki! Corps of Engineers ki! Nanda Devi ki! Nanda Devi ki! Nanda Devi ki! Bharat Mata ki!
The Chief of Army Staff, General Joshi, then General Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Western Command, bade them bon voyage.
Nanda Devi is a very revered deity in the Uttarakhand. It's worshipped with great veneration by the people of Garhwal as well as Kumaon. And I invoke her blessings on your and on my behalf to bless this very fine effort. I wish you, your members, all the luck, all the excitement, and Godspeed, and God bless.
At Joshimath, the entire team was put through a one-week training camp to help them with what was to follow. The team included a very large group of non-mountaineers, 5 scientists and a camera crew of 4, some of whom had not even climbed a hill, leave alone a mountain. And exposure to technical climbing was a necessity for these novices. There was a lot else to do at Joshimath other than the training itself. 8 tons of foodstuff, medical supplies and other equipment had to be checked and packed. 2 medical doctors were also accompanying the team on the expedition. On the 5th of May, a ceremonial flag-off marked the start of the journey, which was estimated to take 45 days to the summit, subject to weather conditions. Rini is the last roadhead on the route. Here the loads were distributed amongst the team members and the porters who would accompany them to base camp. Each porter can carry weight between 25 to 30 kilograms. Even with the load upon their backs, these people are as sure-footed as mountain goats on the climb. The actual climb begins from Rini. The stretch from here to the base camp is one of the most formidable ones and is an expedition by itself. For the non-mountaineers especially, this would be the bitter test. Would they come through it with flying colors, or would they realize that mountains were not their cup of tea? It is in this area that the Rishi Ganga comes bubbling down the mountainside. She flows with the determination of one who has a singleness of purpose. The team followed its course upstream, crossing the gorge more than 10 times over makeshift log bridges. Close to the first bridge itself, a member of the camera crew had a nasty fall. This was a major setback, both in progress and morale, but it didn't take long for everyone to bounce back to normal and carry on undaunted. Making a log bridge across the Rishi Gorge is no easy task. It requires not just skill, but also a lot of muscle power. It was necessary to find a log of an appropriate length, because there is no way in which one can join two logs. Securing the logs became the next challenge. The current of the water was very fast and the temperature very low. Stepping in required a lot of courage. Crossing the log bridge required as much courage, if not more. With a load upon the back, it was like doing a circus balancing act, only here the security of the net below wasn't there. Only one slip lay between life and certain death, with the fearsome cascade boiling expectantly under the logs. The climbing became tougher by the day. Ropes had to be fixed, pitch by pitch, and progress became much slower. An average of 4 to 5 kilometers was being covered in one day, and at places, it would take anything up to 3 hours for the team to cross a 50-meter stretch. Nine camps were established at increasing heights on the way to the base camp. The campsites were generally close to water to enable cooking, cleaning, etc. The march would begin early in the morning. The path closely resembled a catwalk, but fortunately or unfortunately, the team had no resemblance to cats, and finding footholds was a tedious task. Making log bridges stalled the onward progress, but also provided much-needed relief to those who were not involved in making them. It was easier climbing through forested areas rather than rock faces. This was because the trees provided a grip and leverage to the climbers, helping them to emulate Tarzan. But forests form a very small percentage of the flora of the sanctuary and are restricted mainly to the Rishi Gorge. The vegetation of an area reflects the climate of the region, and the Nanda-Devi climate has created a distinctive flora consisting mainly of conifers and junipers. It is surprising at what speed a campsite is set up, even at the end of a tiring day. Members find their own ways of relaxation as the meals are cooked. Meals generally comprise rice, dal, chapatis, and some canned vegetables or meat. Even eggs come in cans, in the form of powder. The climb from Doodh Ganga up to the Maltoni Pass was one of the most treacherous stretches of the climb. The sheer mountainside ran straight down into the gorge, and any slip would have been very costly. But for what was to follow, every risk was worth its while. She stood there coyly against the clear blue sky, as if knowing the effect she had created on her votaries as they first set eyes upon her. One has to tear one's eyes away from the Devi to continue the descent to Dibrugheta. Dibrugheta, or Dubraghati, was dressed in its summer best to welcome the team. A carpet of lush green grass covered the valley from end to end, making it a real feast for the eyes. The first ecological camp was set up here. The scientists were stationed here for over 2 weeks to conduct their studies and surveys. Dr. Ravi Shankaran from Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History studied the avifauna fauna.
I've essentially been looking at what species exist here and which habitats they occur in and which altitudes they occur in. And there are certain rare and endangered birds which are found in the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve and National Park. I mean, when we are talking about this expedition, we should be talking only about Nanda Devi National Park because we are in the core zone. And we haven't spent any or much time in the biosphere reserve or in the peripheral zones. And as to what densities these rare birds occur in. For instance, the monal pheasant, and the snowcock, golden eagle. There is koklas also. Essentially the rare birds that you find here would essentially fall under the category of pheasants, because pheasants are exploited both for their meat and are very specific to certain habitat types, and we are losing these habitat types. I believe we are losing these habitat types quite rapidly in the Himalayas. And in Nanda Devi, in this area, In Dibrughatta, for example, I found that monal were very, very common.
Dr. Bipin Balodi of the Botanical Survey of India, a taxonomist, investigated rare herbs used for medicinal purposes.
I have seen a very good number of medicinal plants out there. Although it was not a very good season for the flowering of the plants, even then I could find a very good number of flowering these medicinal plants like Dictyloraja hattajadia, Picoraija kuruva, Nardostaka jetamansi. I have seen these plants and they are growing in a very good number.
Deori was a welcome change from routine. G.K. Sharma, who later scaled the peak, celebrated his 51st birthday. Besan ka halwa with a single candle had to suffice as a birthday cake.
Happy birthday to you!
But out in the wilderness, even this was a treat after days of canned food.
I feel I am 1 year old.
GK, as he is popularly called, had attempted the summit in an earlier expedition of the sappers in 1980. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it to the peak due to bad weather and health. This birthday, he resolved he would make it, and so he did, achieving a no small feat at his age. It is said that the Rishi Ganga makes sure that it claims its dues from every expedition. She's also notorious for not yielding the body of the chosen one. Looking at her youthful beauty, one cannot or does not want to believe its bad reputation. But like a spoilt child, she decided to prove it.
Sad news to hear. How did it happen, over?
He was the last porter and carrying a gas cylinder and he was on the log bridge. He lost his balance and fell into the Rishiganga river, over.
Has anything been found about the individual, over?
The porters say that they saw the cylinder, but afterwards everything disappeared, over.
What was the individual's name, over?
The individual's name was Rajendra Prasad, son of Baliram Prasad, village Dhak, over.
Deori was the threshold to Ramani, where the second ecological camp was established. From here onwards, the going got much tougher. all tiptoed onto the mountainside, transforming the place into a picture postcard. The party was forced to make an unscheduled stopover at Bujgara. To the mountaineers, this was a setback, but for the others it was a much-awaited relief from the day after day of marching forward. The atmosphere was heavy with anxiety as the team set out again. Every step had to be taken with care, and the snow did not make this easy. Gaps between stopovers were forced to become longer because of snowfall. Onwards through snowfields, the advance party toiled, opening the route for Patal Khan. This path led to Swarg Ki Siri, or the staircase to heaven, a 20-foot vertical climb that looked as forbidding as it sounded. But every cloud has a silver lining, and this one did too. As promised, the Siri transported the team to Swarg. The inner sanctuary of the Nanda Devi now peeped out from behind mountains, playing hide-and-seek with the trekkers as they wound their way in. A safe stopover once again provided a welcome relief to the now weary travelers.
सनम मेरे सनम सनम मेरे सनम कसम तेरी कसम कसम तेरी कसम मुझे आजकल नींद आती है कम
The last camp before hitting the base was at Sarson Patal. Herds of barhals, known as the blue sheep of the mountains, dotted the entire mountainside. Of course, our scientist friends only observed these as species for their studies. Dr. S. Satyakumar of the Wildlife Institute of India conducted a survey in this protected area after a considerable gap, as it had remained closed for all human activities.
As far as my observation goes, I think the status of animals animal populations have improved when compared with the status surveys made by earlier studies. And the other most interesting feature I noted here was the improvement of wildlife habitats in general. The habitats have recuperated a lot due to the ban of livestock grazing and entry of people. I had about 20 sightings of musk deer and about over 35-36 sightings of burrell, which totaled over 700 individuals, and about half a dozen sightings of Himalayan tahr. And I could collect